Welcome to this week's episode of Now That's Something Good, the podcast where we explore the extraordinary in the everyday ordinary. Now here's your host, Sarah Good.
Hey friends, welcome back to Now That's Something Good. We're so glad that you are joining us today. On today's episode, we have a really special guest, Lillian Grace Good. She is the oldest daughter of Will and I, and we are excited for you to hear as she shares with us just a lot about her life, and she's lived quite a bit in her 16 years. And I think today, if you really take a moment to listen in, you're going to hear some good nuggets along the way. So we're really glad that you're here, and here we go into my conversation with Lillian Good. Rude. Straight up rude.
I gave you the thumbs up a few minutes
I can't see the thumbs up. I'm in the zone to...
We'll get the zone started.
Okay, ready? Hey, friends, welcome back. I am here with Lillian Grace Good.
Hey.
So I just got to start off right here. We were talking, we always have to check our microphones before we start. And Lillian, in typical Lillian fashion, is like, well, Mom, if you die, I guess I'll take over the podcast.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like if you retire, if you get too old. And then you said, you just tell everybody, what did you say you'll call the podcast?
I said, I will definitely call it Now That's Something Better.
Guys, this is just the start of what this episode is going to be. So here we go. No, we're really excited to have Lillian Grace here. Lillian is the oldest daughter, Will and our oldest daughter, and you just celebrated a really big birthday. Do you want to tell everybody?
Yeah, I celebrated my 16th birthday.
16. And what's extra special about this 16th birthday?
Well, I was born on September 16th, so it was my golden birthday. So.
Golden birthdays.
Yeah.
Can we make it a rose gold? Do you like rose gold or gold better?
Probably gold, but I don't mind.
Oh, okay. All gold options are available. Awesome. Well, we thought we would have Lillian on. We told all the kids when we started the podcast that we would love to have them come on for an episode, and we'd probably do it close to their birthday. Plus, Lillian is just, I can't believe if you're 16, that means Will and I have been your parents for 16 years.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Do you have any commentary on how Dad and I are doing so far on parenting?
Not really. I think you guys are doing a good job.
I guess you have no other parents to compare it to. So
yeah.
Oh, awesome. Well, let's start. So you were born on September 16th. Mm-hmm. What year?
2004.
2004.
Yeah.
And your name, do you remember what your name means?
Like a beautiful flower. Am I making that up?
No, it is.
Okay. Well, cool.
Beautiful flower. We named you Lillian. Do you remember us telling you the name story?
No.
Why we chose your name?
Actually, no, I don't remember.
Okay.
Wait.
You don't remember the story?
No, I don't.
Okay, here's the story. So Lily was the first girl we found out. We wanted to know that if she was a boy or girl. And so we found out she was a girl. And we went in, though, not really knowing our girl name. We had a couple choices. I think we liked Hannah, Elizabeth, thought we'd call her Hannah Beth. Basically all of our choices we ended up changing though. And Will one day, your dad, was in the car one day and was like, what about Lily? And we were like, Lily, we love that name. And so we instantly fell in love with it. We always kind of loved the middle name Grace, but we really felt like Lillian, the flower, obviously is a flower. Mm-hmm. We named you Lillian so that you could have a choice if you wanted to be Lily or Lillian, which recently we've called you Lily almost your whole 16 years of life. But recently, do you want to talk about your recent?
Yeah, I don't even know why, but recently, I don't know. I was just like, you know what? I really do like Lillian better. And it was, especially for my friends and my parents, it was a hard change.
How many times am I able to call you Lillian?
Only when I call it out.
I try. And so this is the crazy part. We specifically, all of our kids, fun little good family fact, they all have names that we purposely gave them nicknames so that they could have one and they could decide if they wanted to go by their full name or short name. And that is why we named you Lillian Grace instead of Lily Grace, so that if you wanted to go by Lillian, you could. But it means beautiful grace, and grace is getting something you don't deserve. And so we felt like we were getting this beautiful gift of our very first daughter. So that's where your name came from.
Cool.
Don't you feel special?
A little bit.
A little bit. You should feel a whole lot.
I feel special.
Whole lot special. Okay, so you are in what year of high school?
Junior year, 11th grade.
Tell the people, what are you doing? What's your school situation look like?
Well, I am online school this year. I was also last year, and I'm taking dual enrollment college classes. Actually, that's going to be all of my classes this year, which is crazy. through Liberty University. So, I mean, I'm only taking 3 classes this term, so it's not like that hard yet, but yeah. So,
Yet is the keyword. So do you want to tell everybody you were homeschooled
yeah.
for a lot of your life? How have you felt about being homeschooled?
I mean, I feel like it, personally, I feel like it'd be a lot better than going to public school. I mean, yeah. I really like it, honestly. I mean, it can be lonely at sometimes.
Yeah.
But I mean, I made lots of friends through like doing other things. And that's a good thing about being homeschooled, that you can like connect with people more, with different co-ops or groups that are usually during the day, which you couldn't go to if you're in public school. So that was really cool. And that's being homeschooled is how I met a lot of my really good friends now. So
yeah, that's been neat. And you actually, so at home, I mean, with being homeschooled, there was a time where you guys were all here and all your siblings were here.
Yeah.
But now you're really the only one that's like traditionally homeschooled.
Yeah.
But you do it all online through Liberty University and college classes. So what do you think about it being your last? You only have 2 more years of high school left.
It's so weird. I don't know. Everyone said like junior year was the hardest, and I can definitely see how it's going to get way harder. I don't know. It's weird.
It's weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about the possibility of going to college? All of that.
Oh, low-key scared, because it is like being homeschooled and then like suddenly switching to like a college. It's probably going to be very strange, but I have some good options, and like, I mean, I think I'll be ready for it. So yeah.
I think you'll do great. College is an exciting time. Yeah. So pray for Will and I. I always say, I'm like, man, these next years are going to be an emotional roller coaster as we send our first child all the feels over the next couple of years. Okay, so you mentioned being homeschooled. It's allowed you to get to meet some other friends and do some kind of different stuff, which of course you'd have friends if you went to public school. But you've gotten to have some friends through co-ops and different things you've done. Why don't you tell people about one of your very first greatest loves and something you've been a part of since you're little?
Well, when I was little, I don't even know how I got introduced to that. I don't even know the story, but I found this really great theater group, Lifelight Youth Theater, when I was like, I don't know, 5 or 6.
Yeah, you started when you were 5, I think.
Yeah, around 5. And I've kind of just stuck with that theater group, and at first I think it was just something I liked, and then as I grew older, I was like, wow, I really love this. So, I mean, I'm still doing it. I've been doing it for like 10 years now, almost 11 years now, which is crazy. So,
yeah.
I mean, I really like theater and dance and music and all of that. And I mean, I think I'm pretty good at it. So I hope so.
I might also be biased, but I think you're pretty good at it too.
Thank you.
What has been some of your favorite roles that you've gotten to play?
Oh my goodness. There's a lot. Last year, winter 2019, I was Annie in Annie. So that was probably my favorite thing. And then I'll always remember when I was like, I think I might have been 8 or 9, I played Belle in Beauty and the Beast Jr. And that was kind of like one of my first like biggest roles. And although it was like a role as a kid, it still was like, I felt pretty powerful. So
you were a really cute Belle. You got to play. Well, let's talk about princesses for a moment.
Oh boy.
You would say it's cringeworthy now.
Yeah.
But you had quite the obsession with princesses. Would you like to comment on that at all?
Well, apparently, actually, I think, what was it? Was it Mulan? I think I watched Mulan like every day for a long time, for a while,
Mulan
right?
For a while, yeah.
So yeah, and I remember having like a princess party, and what else? I just remember watching Mulan.
We
like
literally
maybe
had every single princess costume ever made, probably.
and like all the little princess shoes and the crowns.
Yes,
Boy.
and little Lillian. Just imagine, Lily has red hair. We'll post pictures, don't worry.
Oh boy.
Like all this little Lillian would always just pop out. Will and I would never know where you were going to come down the steps with a princess dress on or some kind of combination of something. So I think acting and singing has basically been in your blood from the beginning.
Definitely.
But you were super excited. Belle was your favorite for a really long time. We have like a ton of Belle Christmas ornaments, and you were really excited when you got to play Belle. You had like your little blue dress, your big old yellow dress. And what was the best part about, so because when you were in it was called creative drama, like, so like the younger version.
Yeah.
So the older kids, right, did the same thing, but it was the big kid version and you were in the little kid version and you were Belle. And do you want to talk about like when you have to dance at the end, like that whole?
with the dress.
Yeah.
Like, so I had this, Belle's blue dress towards the beginning of the play, and then like the big Belle and Beast dancing scene, I had to put on this yellow dress, and I had like a quick change, so I had to put the yellow dress over my blue dress. And I didn't realize this at first, but I remember watching like the DVD that we got and being like, oh my goodness. But the yellow dress was way shorter than the blue dress. So I walked on, and like my blue dress was hanging like underneath the yellow dress. It was so funny.
It's great. But then you had to like dance with this boy.
I had the dance with this boy. And it was so awkward, and everyone started clapping.
All the big kids in the room were like,
oh my goodness, yeah.
Thought it was the cutest thing ever.
Oh my word.
It was pretty precious. These little 8-year-olds dancing to Tale as Old as Time. Oh. Anyway, do you want to talk about your other favorite things when you were a young kid? You had quite a few.
See. I had a lot. Let me just say, I think I had a lot of career paths that I really wanted to go down, and some of them, like looking back, I'm like, no way. So I remember I did sports for a bit. I did like, I think the main things were
short
soccer,
stint of time.
and basketball, and like I remember like thinking I was super good at it, but apparently. Can I talk about the basketball story?
Yeah, let's tell the basketball story.
Well, I thought I was super good. I thought I was super good at defense and all this stuff. And I don't remember this at all, but apparently...
No, wait, you got to back up. This literally you thought this until like 3 days ago. We're in the car and you're asking about basketball. Yeah. And you're like, remember that time I thought I was so good? And I was like, yeah, do you remember the one story? And you're like, what story? And so now tell the story. You just found this out.
Basically, apparently I was, playing and I shot the basketball in the hoop and I scored, but it was for the other team. I went the wrong direction. I shot it in the wrong hoop, and apparently I was like super excited. But
you had no idea. Everybody was true. We were yelling because we were all telling you to go the other way. But it's
see, and I remember like specifically remembering thinking I was so good at this, and like this is something I could probably continue doing. Obviously not. So. And then I did gymnastics for a while, and I thought I was like super good at that. I mean, I think I was
good at gymnastics,
but and then I did piano for a while, and I got like little awards from that. And then the big thing was I wanted to be I called it a rancher. I wanted to own horses, and I had a really big horse phase. I'm talking like horse books, like fiction books. I wanted to learn everything. I took horse lessons. I had all these horse figurines, like tons of horse figurines.
You were all in the comforter, pillows,
oh my word, yeah. And I had like
stuffed animals,
shirts with like horses on them. It was bad.
All the how-to horse books.
I had like this one book that was like everything you need to know about horses for the horse crazy girl, like your horse crazy girl at home,
Yes. Like, we'll have to post pictures. You were probably 8 or 9. I can't remember now, but you had like, you'd wear the cowgirl boots and you had like your little jeans jacket and the hat. And so we totally had pictures of you where Dad took.
Goodness.
They're adorable.
Luckily, we're out of that stage. So
yeah, the horse phase actually happened when our house flooded, and I think that's what changed. And then what else? You were really big into horses, and then you were really big into something else. Do you remember? Because you were devastated.
What was I big into? I don't remember.
Littlest pet shops.
Littlest pet shops and Legos.
Do you want to tell people about what happened when our house flooded?
Just the whole story, or like,
whatever you want to tell, because you were impacted by it.
Yeah, I don't remember. I honestly don't. How long ago was that? Like 5.
It's been like 8 years. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, I thought it.
You were
might
little.
Have been 6
you were
years.
like 8 or 9.
Well, basically, when we were with the kids and I were with our grandparents, right? And then mom and dad were in New York or something. And apparently it was like winter and our house, like pipes burst. And one of those pipes bursted in my room. And it like ruined all my Legos and Littlest Pet Shops and like some of my stuffed animals. I remember all these people coming over and like trying to fix all my Legos and all this stuff. And that was really sweet. Yeah. But it broke in my room, and I don't really remember much of it.
Do you remember that? Do you remember being sad, like what you felt about it?
Oh yeah, I remember. I specifically remember when you guys took us to the hotel. You hadn't told us like our house flooded or anything, and I remember being like, "Oh, this is great. We're on a mini vacation." And then you were like, "Ah."
It was horrible.
Actually,
so our house did flood. We came back. Thankfully, God's timing was good. We didn't know the house flooding. That is a story Will and I can tell you all sometime. But short version, like Lily said, pipe burst, and we didn't want to tell them. They were with my parents. We were supposed to meet them. So my dad brought my mom and dad brought the kids to us here because we were supposed to meet somewhere else. And they met us at a hotel because we didn't want to tell you. We were afraid. We just didn't know how you were to think. If you were like 8, then that means your siblings were like 5 and 3 or something. And so
Yeah, wow.
we didn't want to know, but we ended up living in a hotel for 9 weeks.
Oh, wow.
It was right when Frozen came out because the girls, all 3 girls, stayed in one. Thankfully, it was a suite. It was a 2-bedroom suite. All 3 girls, you all stayed in one bedroom. And every night to get you guys to sleep, you would listen to the Frozen soundtrack.
Oh, boy.
So, like, when I say we have it memorized, oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
we could probably sing you every word and every note of the whole entire
Seriously.
Frozen soundtrack because we listened to it every night for 9 weeks straight. But,
oh, boy.
But yeah, but people were really nice. They brought you little pet shop toys.
Oh, yeah.
We had friends that washed our laundry, that washed our stuffed animals because we were just, it was sad, but we made it through.
Yeah.
Any other obsessions you remember being like when you were a kid?
Yeah, I don't
think you did princesses, horses, little pet shops. You were big on the Lego. You really, though, you've always been, so theater, that's always been huge, but you really like to write. You've always had the creative bit.
Yeah.
You want to talk about writing?
Well, like as long as I can remember. Apparently, like it's been longer than I could remember, but like my grandma would tell me how I would write stories with her because my grandma is an author and I would write stories, like just like stupid little, like just random stories. And I just remember writing like little books for as long as I can remember. I haven't finished any of them. And I think I have at least definitely like 15 to 20 like books that could end, like that could be pretty cool. But I only have like 5 chapters written in each of them.
Yeah.
But I still am writing now. And I think I don't know.
Do you want to give us a sneak peek of what you're writing right now? So people can listen. If you become a favorite author, they'll be like, well, I knew Lillian Grace Good when I got the sneak peek here on the Now That's Something Good podcast.
I'm trying to think. I'm writing like two ones right now. The one I'm like writing, I actually was like up late writing it last night. How do I even explain it? Because I'm not even sure like what it's really about yet. But it's like these teenagers and they're on a trip and basically, I don't know, it ends up very fantasy and adventurous and, teen stuff, Yeah.
Teen stuff. Okay, good.
So
super descriptive. I'm sure everybody knows what
I don't really know yet. So.
That's all right. Okay, we'll let it pass. But you do Lillian, we have notebooks after notebooks when you're little of stuff.
Yeah.
And when she talked earlier about had a lot of career options, literally I would find these notebooks and she would have a list of like 20 things she wanted to be in her life. And it'd be like, I want to be a mom. I want to be a chef. I want to be a horse rancher. I want to be a famous singer. I want to be a famous author. And then you'd be like, the crazy thing was because you'd always have a line that was like, and I'll do all of this while I do, and then you'd have a whole nother list. And it was like, you were going to do all 20 things at the same time.
Yeah.
Which, you know what? Go for it, Lily. You never know. You could do it. And you love to read. What's some of your favorite books? What would you recommend?
I've gotten back into Harry Potter. Oh, that's so bad. It's kind of an obsession now.
It's been hard for us to find. I mean, really, we haven't bought you a lot of books lately.
Yeah.
It's been hard to find some.
I went through my bookshelf the other day and I took off so many, like probably like 50 books.
Yeah.
Like so many books, and that even included like all those horse books. But yeah, like Harry Potter, I really like that. Maze Runner, all those like iconic, fandoms. So
yeah.
I really like the book Tuck Everlasting. I think that's so cool. I realized I found it and apparently Grandma gave it to me a while ago. So I was reading that.
Nice.
And I like that. So I mean,
do you remember what's that? Is it Gail Carson Levine? Remember those books? We used to read those.
Oh the
Two Princesses of Bamar.
Yeah.
Those
Ella
were good.
Enchanted. Is that who?
I think she did write Ella Enchanted.
Those books. So
you were big into those for a while.
Oh yeah.
We would read them back and forth because I would read them with you. Do you want to tell everybody about? So your grandparents just recently moved here, which is amazing, right?
That's great. I love it.
Grandma, you said she is an author. She has a lot of books. She recently brought me a bunch of my books from when I was your age and younger. Yeah. And remember, I told you I gave you all these. Have you read any of those books? I gave you.
I only read like the hospital, like the really depressing, sad ones.
So guys, I have a really morbid confession. So there are these books there. I think her name's Laureline McDaniel, and she wrote these whole series. My very best friend when I was in middle school and high school, we used to read these books. And somebody always had a terminal illness. And I don't know, like I was obsessed with them, which probably fueled my, like why I thought I had a brain tumor for a lot of my middle school life, but that's a story for another day. But they were good books. And so I've tried to get Lily. I'm like, Lillian, you have to read these books. And
I remember being so disturbed. When did we read it? It was like when we were at Woody's Beach. And I read one of them and it was like this romance book. And like this guy found this girl and the girl ended up dying at the end of the story. And I was like, this is horrible. And I found myself like bawling.
You're like, why were these my mom's favorite books? I don't know. I have issues apparently. I just, sometimes you need a good cry. And so you just listen to those. What else do you want to talk about, Lillian?
I don't know. I was trying to think. Like, there's not a lot of interesting things.
You have a lot. I think you're very interesting. For being 16 years old, you've had a lot of life. Okay, let's talk about this. You are the oldest of, how many siblings do you have?
3 little siblings.
3 little siblings. And for a long time, it was really you and the girls. Lincoln came a little later to our family. Mm-hmm. So what's your take on being a big sister?
It can be great, but I also definitely feel like the test child at times.
The test. It's probably because we've told you. We would just straight up tell her like, I'm sorry, you're the guinea pig child. We have no idea what we're doing.
It can be great, but then it's like,
we'll pay for your extra counseling later.
And I'm like, wait, I don't remember. Like Evalyn got a phone at like 11, and I was like, I don't think I got it one until I was like 12 or 13. And I was like, but yeah, it can be great. I think we don't realize it at times, but I think we all really do need each other. Me and Evalyn, we have a very lovely relationship. I think you guys know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we all love each other. Lincoln's great. Yeah.
So you want to talk about, Evalyn is your next younger sister. Yeah. She's 12. And so it's kind of changed. Your relationship with her has changed as she's been like in middle school.
Yeah.
At the church we're a part of, middle school and high school is together. So you guys go like the youth group together. You get to spend some extra time. And you guys now, like you'll hang out. You'll ask her to go do face mask. You guys are always doing something, I feel like.
I feel like it's weird because you'd always, when we were little, I feel like we got like into a lot more fights and you'd be like, oh, it's fine. You guys will be good friends when you're older. And I'm just now starting to see that. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, wait, she's not that bad. So
I think what I used to always tell you is the classic mom line when I would probably be lecturing you all in the car. And I'd be like, guys, your sisters are here forever. And if you are mean to your friends, I can't let you hang out with your friends if you can't treat your sisters nice or something. But
oh boy.
And you've shared rooms. So right now you guys all have your own room. But you've shared with Evalyn off and on over years, right?
Mm-hmm. So
you got any classic sharing a room with your sister story?
I don't really know.
You never shared.
I remember
with Elena,
one time. Right? I don't think I've shared with Elena. I remember one time we tried to. I feel like we saw it. Oh, where did I see it? I think it was either in a movie or in a book. But like these 2 sisters who shared a room, they like put tape on the floor, and it was like their own sections. I remember doing that with her one time. It didn't really end up working.
You guys did do that.
Yeah.
It was partly because it was the classic thing where only one of you was on the side of the door. Yeah. And I think you honestly weren't on the side with the door. Yeah. And I remember walking in, and I was like, great idea, girls. Lily, how are you going to get out of the room?
Yeah.
And like the closet was on the other side. Oh my goodness. Crazy. Yeah. Do you want to talk about something super impactful in our family life, but to you was the adoption of your youngest sibling, Lincoln?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, definitely. I remember I honestly don't remember that much about it because now that I think about it, I can't really remember when he wasn't with us. Like when we would share stories of long ago, I'm like, oh yeah, where was Lincoln in that? And they're like, oh, he wasn't here yet. I'm like, oh wow. We adopted him 2015. When was it? 16?
It's going to be 2015.
15. Okay.
5 years.
So I would have been like 11, 10. Yeah, I remember like being like super shocked, but also excited because I remember like you and Dad would talk about it for a while, just an idea. And I was like, wow, like this is great. And I remember talking about our China baby and all this stuff. And we finally found out like it was a boy and we came up with all these names like Lincoln. I think Lena wanted to name him Hot Dog.
Yeah.
And like I remember that I think we made a video out of it, but I remember like opening up this box of balloons that would tell us the gender, and it had his little face. Oh, his little face on the picture.
That's
and
so
I remember
cute.
being so excited. I wanted to tell like all my friends about it. And I was like, yeah, I'm getting a new brother. And
I think you did tell everybody
yeah.
we met. including random people at the grocery store.
Oh boy. But it was, again, I don't really remember much about it, but I remember was a little bit jealous that Evalyn got to go to China, not me. But
Yeah. Do you want to tell why? You're just going to make us sound like horrible parents that we took your younger sister and I do. Do you remember why?
I think the main reason, because Evalyn is the middle child, and I feel like most of the time it's like, with I'm being the oldest and Lana being the youngest, there can be that little, Lana's the youngest, so she gets a lot, and then I'm the oldest, so like I get to be, doing a lot more things. So was that the main reason?
That was a hard parenting. It was that, and we had to switch rooms around. And we decided you really wanted your own room, and we really felt like you probably needed your own room based on your age at the time and stuff. Yeah. And so Evalyn was having to go share with her younger sister, which she was not super thrilled about. So it was partly that. And you have, switch topics for just a second. You have food allergies. We can come back and talk about that in a second. And so we were a little nervous about taking you halfway around the world when we weren't sure what we were going to be eating and if we could take care of it well enough. And so, but yes. But do you remember FaceTiming?
Oh, yeah. I remember me and Elena went to my grandparents' house when they lived in Indiana. And I remember, like, you guys went there. And I think it was, like, the first night you had, like, Lincoln. And I remember FaceTiming them. And Lena was singing to him, like, on the other end. And I remember him, like, falling asleep, I think. Yeah. It was, like, so precious. And, like, I mean, looking back at it, I'm a lot more emotional speaking about it. But then I was like, oh, this is great. And then he came home. We had like lots of our friends come and meet you guys at the airport. I remember like you guys walking down, and then we took that picture where Lincoln was like sitting on the suitcase. Yeah. And he looked very like nervous and like didn't want to be by anyone except for like Evalyn and you guys, which like is expected. But then I remember coming home, and it was like super weird. I tried holding him. I don't think he let me. But
he quickly got to you like.
Yeah, I think he was super nervous about it at first, and then I remember when we gave him like, what was the first thing he ate? But I remember we gave him something.
Birthday cake, I'm pretty sure.
Birthday cake, yeah, it was something, and then that's how his candy obsession, his sweet obsession began.
Lincoln's got a sweet tooth.
Yeah, it was like super cool. Again, I don't really remember that much of it, but it was like super weird and cool.
Yeah,
and wow, yeah.
It really impacted you at the time because you would tell everybody you were in like, by the time we brought him home, I think you were like in 6th grade.
Yeah, I remember like sharing like the video, like some videos we made with the whole youth group, and I thought it was so cool. Looking back, I don't think anyone else thought it was as cool as I did. But
you were always asking people to pray for your brother, and it was going to be hard. And you would out there tell people they should adopt China babies because every orphan needs a home. You were like,
oh yeah, I was big on that, but
yeah.
Yeah.
What's it like having a brother that's adopted?
Do you
think about it?
I honestly don't think about it that much. I mean, the only time I really think about it is like when we're talking about like stories of us as babies or like our stories. And I'm like, oh yeah, Lincoln, or like when we do talk about stories back then, and I'm like, oh yeah, Lincoln like wasn't there with us. And here's the thing. I think he loves me deep down, but
he does love you.
Evalyn is definitely his favorite sister.
Well, I don't know.
I mean, I think he loves us all deep down, but
Lincoln has I
don't know how he comes up with
maybe.
Oh yeah, we call it his stink eye. He has very interesting evil faces and things he would say. I mean, he threatens to, murder me on the daily, but I think
he does.
I think he loves us deep down.
He's a 5-year-old boy too, so it kind of his love language is a little different than I love you. Yeah. It's more like I'm going to hit you and take your stuff, but
oh boy.
He loves you, and you are a really good big sister to all your stuff. You have been great about teaching Elena. Like she took dance for the first time last year, and you would help her get ready and teach her tap things, and you're a really good big sister.
Thanks.
You do a great job.
Hey, it's Will here. Thanks for listening in on this episode of the podcast. I wanted to share a couple things with you. Number one, did you know that you can do this? Alexa, play Now That's Something Good podcast.
Here's Now That's Something Good podcast from Amazon Music.
I might just be a little bit geeked out about that. But yeah, you can listen to the cast on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and on that device I just said, but I can't mention it right now or she'll listen to our conversation. You can listen wherever And thanks so much for your support. We just actually had our 1500th download in just a short time of the podcast being live. And so thanks so much for listening and for sharing this podcast and any of the episodes that have really brought encouragement to you with your friends and with those that you've come into contact with. We hope that sharing something good will bring light to someone's day. I really appreciate all my kids, and it's been really fun to listen in on this episode, to be behind the scenes, and to celebrate Lillian's 16th birthday. We were talking a little bit in the podcast about how Lillian is such a creative mind, and she gets some of that from Sarah and some of that from me. And after we stopped recording, she actually came up to the studio and she said, "Hey, I wrote this, check this out." And so I want to share that with you right now. And then right after you hear this little 20-second jingle, we're going to send you right back to the cast with Sarah and Lillian. Enjoy.
Now that's something good, you totally should tune in to this episode where we explore the extraordinary in the everyday ordinary. Now that's something good.
So let's talk about this. Over the last few years of your life, you've dealt with some anxiety.
Yeah.
Do you kind of want to talk about that? What does it feel like for you and what it's been like kind of figuring that out?
Yeah, wow. I feel like everyone gets anxiety, but there is like a certain like point, and I like recently I realized, I was like, wow, this is like a big thing I am dealing with. And I feel like I've honestly like dealt with it not that much as I have recently, but I feel like I've always dealt with it as a child. I feel like I was very outgoing, but I feel like I could be like very nervous, you know?
Yeah.
But recently it's just been like really impactful. I didn't even realize like it was anxiety or like little panic attacks that were happening. And I don't even remember like how I really realized it was starting. I think it was like last year, and like I was struggling through something of school, and I just got like super nervous and like I couldn't breathe straight. And I was like, okay, this probably isn't just me being nervous. It's probably something a bit more. And yeah, it's hard, you know? And yeah.
Yeah. And recently we've done something, like, I'm going to tell everybody what you've been doing recently to kind of just help take steps towards figuring that out.
I mean, well, yeah, recently I've decided to see a counselor. At first I was like a little like, I'm like going to therapy. I'm going to counseling. Like there must be, but I really think like everyone needs it. I really don't think someone's going to counseling because something's wrong with them. I just think that everyone needs it. So I've been seeing this really nice lady, and going to Christian counseling. I think that was my third time going a couple of days ago. And it's really good. I feel like everyone just really needs to talk to someone who is like professional. And obviously, I mean, talking to God about that, like talking to God about things first. But it has been like super good. And I feel myself like, you know, growing in my faith more, and just, it's definitely been subsiding a lot. So yeah.
Yeah. You would, hey, I don't remember how old you were, because I do remember you'd come in and you would talk about like, I'm having trouble breathing.
Yeah.
And you probably had that. I mean,
I remember
probably
having
for
that a
probably
lot.
3 or 4 years. You were pretty little when some of it first started, and we would just kind of talk to you about it and kind of help you slow down. And then it would pass pretty quickly, and then you'd be fine. A couple weeks would pass, and then you would say something again. But you did get kind of worse there, probably when you started high school, right?
Yeah,
you would
definitely. I feel like that's when it all gets worse for a lot of people.
Yeah,
like it's like a hard stage of life, and everyone deals with it recently. But
yeah, what would you tell somebody? There are going to be some young girls listening, or other young people listening. What would you tell somebody else who's around your age, or a little older, or a little younger, about anxiety?
Well, I definitely think that like your anxiety doesn't define you. You're not going to be anxious all the time. And I really think like, I mean, get help, even if it's not like a main thing or like something that you've been like diagnosed with. I think everyone should like not just put it aside and be like, I'm fine, it's fine. Because I mean, yeah, I really say pray to God about that. Like reach out to someone. You like shouldn't just be keeping these things to yourself, because they can get worse, like as I've realized. And I realized that I probably should like reach out and get some help, and like also know that it's going to be better. Like our anxiety and pain on this earth is like going to be temporary. And I mean, yeah, just really, I say reach out to someone, especially if you're keeping it to yourself, because I think everyone like needs it, you know?
Yeah. What would you say to if there's parents listening or just other adults listening that work with teens or whatever? What would you tell older than you people to like to do to help like with teens
I think
that are
the main thing is you don't really know what's going on in someone's heads. I really say don't just be like, oh, you're just nervous. Like everyone gets nervous. I mean, if it's really something they've been coming to you for a while about, I mean, and it's like really close to their heart, and like you really think something's up and they're in pain, like help them get the next step, you know? Maybe counseling is the answer. Maybe just being there for them. Don't always just say it's just you're nervous.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes that is just the case, but if it's really happening a lot, I mean, yeah.
That's good. How have your mom and dad done about helping you with it? Do you feel like we've been helpful?
I think recently it's been helpful.
Recently it's been wasn't helpful all those other years, but it's been helpful now.
No, it's good. I'm glad I was able to like get counseling and like you guys just talking to me about it, and I'm glad like yeah.
You've got lots of good people around in your life that you're able to talk to, which we are really grateful for. You are good. We've tried to, your dad and I have tried to build a relationship where you know that we're always a safe place, but your dad and I have also known, hey, you know, sometimes you want to talk to your mom and dad about stuff, and sometimes you want to talk to other people about it. And that's been fine for us. And so we've been very grateful that you have some really important people in your life that are just a little bit older than you, and then some that are more like mom and dad's age, but just be able to help you and walk with you on that.
Yeah, I'm really thankful. I definitely say like find your person. I mean, God should be the number one person you go to, but I mean, like also finding people on this earth who you can trust and like know will be there for you, and will also tell you if you're acting crazy.
Yeah,
you know, because sometimes I mean it's great to have. As I've realized recently, I feel like lots of people make friends and want to be friends with people who are just telling them the good stuff all the time, and I think the best friends are people who can be nice to you and say this in like a polite and friendly way, but are telling you if you're like, you know, maybe you should calm down, or like maybe you're just overreacting, and like telling you if you're doing something wrong, because I mean, sometimes you just need that. You need that knowledge from someone else.
Yeah.
So.
Finding good friends is really important.
Yeah.
And we're grateful that you have some good friends and have some good mentors in your life for sure. So what have you, Lillian, learned about God over the last couple years, either through anxiety or just as you're getting older and having to figure out more of this kind of for yourself? What are you learning, or what are you discovering?
I think the main thing is like, especially in coronavirus. Well, first of all, I don't think anyone through this quarantine, I don't think anyone can say that they've fully been trusting God and have had no doubts of God, because I mean, definitely, I've had so many doubts, especially this year. And I think the main thing is everyone was telling me it's going to get better. God has a plan. And I'm like, I know, but just so many like bad things have just happened this year, and it can be really hard to trust him. But like the main thing I have to remember is that like he does have a plan, and like his plan might not formulate you the way you want it to be, especially as soon as you want it to be right now. But you have to keep trusting. And another thing is, I mean, through suffering obviously is horrible. No one wants to suffer or go through troubles. But I kept telling myself that maybe one day through my suffering, there's going to be someone who went through exactly what I went through. And since I went through what that person is going through, I can relate to them and help them through it, and speak to them how God has spoken to me, and just help them through that. So I think the main thing is just thinking that, I mean, maybe in the future, someone will go through exactly what you're going through, and you can be a light to them, and that your situation can help someone else, you know? So that's probably the main thing.
That's good. There's a passage in scripture. I think it's in the gospel several times, but I think it's in Mark, and I should have it memorized, but I'm bad about remembering the chapter and verse where things are. But it talks about, there's a man that comes to Jesus and talks about, I believe, but help me in my unbelief. And it's where we can still believe that God is good in who he is, but sometimes it can be hard. And sometimes we can question things. And we talked about as a family, we've told you your whole life. And I've told countless other people, like, God can handle your questions. So like, come with your questions, come with all your emotions and your feelings. He created us with them. And so bring them to Jesus and ask the things. And we've tried to encourage you, right? As you're growing, like, hey, we want you to find this stuff out for yourself. We don't want you just to believe in God or believe in Jesus because we've told you, or it's just been in our house. And you've been having to kind of wrestle with that really over the last few years, right? Of what do you believe, and are you going to trust God? What would you tell to anybody right now listening that's maybe questioning, man, what should I believe? What do I believe? What would you say helped you or continues to help you?
I say, like, don't hold back. If like you're really questioning, like, do research. Like, if you're questioning like God's plan for you, like, really reach out to someone, whether like that's a pastor at your church or someone you trust, or like just like going straight to the Bible. Because like, I mean, people do have so many questions about stuff, and like, again, like you said, figuring out themselves. And I think like the big thing is just, like, do your research on it, like find out about it and just dive in. Don't just be like, well, maybe God is real, like push yourself to read the Bible and try praying to him, even if like you're not fully believing it yet. I mean, I say you just need to push yourself and ask people to help you get into it and just learn. Because like you can't learn about anything if you're not trying, and so
That's good, Lillian. I like that advice. I was going to ask you something else, and my mind just went blank.
This happens a lot.
I know it does happen a lot. I got a lot. This is what happens when you have 4 kids. This is what I tell Lily.
Oh boy.
Which reminds me of a funny story we'll have to tell in a minute. How do you feel like you hear from God? Is that something that you can?
Yeah. First, let me say I mean, I have trouble hearing for God a lot, but I feel like it's because my mind is just so busy, and I feel like a lot of the time I'm not pushing myself to hear God. I'm not telling myself to hear him. I'll just be like, why can't I hear from you? It's because I'm not letting my mind be in that state it's not like I'm wanting to hear from him. I'm just kind of, why aren't you speaking to me? Why aren't you speaking to me? I needed to have that time to just be peaceful and quiet and really listen to him. But I usually hear from him when, like my mind is blank, which can be really hard. And I also just hear from him from other people. Like, I mean, I'd be having a good conversation of someone, a good friend or someone I trust, and like they'll say something and I'm like, wait, that's actually, like, I really needed to hear that. And I mean, I really feel like God can show up through other people. So I feel like lots of the times when I hear from them, it can be from someone else. And I mean, recently I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and they were like, I mean, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say this to you, but I feel like God is telling me to say this to you, and like I really needed it. So, I mean, I feel like he definitely speaks through other people, and also just reading your Bible. Like, I was reading a passage, I forgot what it was, the other day through like this Bible plan I was doing, and like I've read like this passage like lots of times, I remember, but then like something else just stuck out to me suddenly, and I was like, wait, I've read this a million times. Why is it just now sticking out or making sense? So
yeah,
I mean, yeah.
That's good. God's word is always a great place, and God does definitely speak through other people and circumstances, all those things for sure. Yeah. Okay, so Lillian, we're going to draw to an end here soon. Do you have anything else that you want to talk about or tell anybody about what life is like being 16?
I have no idea. I mean, I feel the exact same. Like,
you don't feel the older.
I feel like once I get my license and I'm like cruising by myself, that's when I'll feel a lot
We're
older.
Close to that, right? Do you want to tell everybody on the podcast what your sad story or your mean story?
I think the main. I don't think I'm ready to get my license yet. I feel like the main issue is because I got my permit so late, and also apparently I thought for the longest time like you could only be. Someone over 21 had to be in the front seat by you, but you could only have one person under 18 in the rest of the car. But I was doing like research with someone, and I realized that wasn't the case. So now, like, I mean, lots of the times I haven't been driving a lot because I do have 3 younger siblings,
Yeah.
and like they're usually always with us, so it was hard to get all that practice in. But I'm hoping by October I'll
We're
I'll
hoping
get more.
real soon. You're real close. We just need a few more hours to log in.
Should we
to
share
make sure
about the thing that happened the other night?
when you almost killed me? Is that what you're talking about? Where my life and your life flashed before my eyes?
Oh
No, that's your story to tell, girl.
So I'm just like exposing myself. But
That's
I was
all right.
I was driving to rehearsal. I don't even know. Did you tell Dad about this?
I don't think so. I think I texted him like, we just about died.
I don't even know what happened, but I was driving to rehearsal and I had like a flashing yellow arrow which means yield, and I thought like the person in front of us had a red light, because like every other time I would turn left, like those people would always be stopping and like there wouldn't be anyone there. So I thought like they always had a red light, but apparently I had to yield for them too.
Yeah,
and I
you
almost
didn't
ran
yield,
straight into a truck.
and you were turning left. I think you saw the light next to us, and this happens to people when it's a
Yeah.
left turn and other people go straight. Sometimes your brain just sees green, and if you're not careful, you'll start to turn left.
Yeah.
And so I think you saw that light turn green and didn't realize it's not, and
Yeah.
you're starting to turn, and I'm like, this car is not stopping, and you
And I
don't have
didn't
the right of
realize
way.
it. I was
like
like-
grabbed your arm, and I'm like, stop.
And then out of nervousness, also with my anxiety, if you ever see me like awkwardly laughing, I'm probably having a panic attack.
And as a parent, let me just say, I was stuck between, I don't even know what I do right now, because I don't want to freak you out worse than you already probably feel bad about, like, it, but I also need you to understand the severity of what just happened, because one, God protected us. I feel like he definitely, because that car, I mean, we were very close to being hit, and you reacted fine and it's good. And I think every young driver needs a near scare, but it was like, I didn't want to freak you out and didn't want to make you feel bad, but I also needed you to know,
Yeah,
like,
and,
hey, you have to pay attention, because it's a big deal to get to drive. And
Yeah, that's probably where I need some more.
yeah, so we're
Need a little
just
bit more
driving
time.
a little more, but you are a very safe, cautious driver. We're not worried about you doing anything crazy while driving, but
Yeah.
you're doing great. That was a funny story. Do you want to tell everybody else listening what is something you and I like to do together? Or well, let me ask you, we've got several things, but what's your favorite thing? And you don't have to say the one thing that you thought I was prompting you to say, but what's something you like to do with me?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna say the main thing because this is my favorite thing. This usually, well, it's been a tradition for a while, but we've been watching Gilmore Girls, which is like my new favorite thing. I love it. We've been watching it for like a year now, and we're not even to season 2.
Sadly, I know, because we don't get enough,
It's
because
not
somebody
our
else is
routine.
always around, and it's kind of a show that we've just said is probably just old enough for Lillian to watch at this point, and so
recently we've been, I think the main thing is after we would go to Fearless, and after Tuesday nights, like their meetings, we would go pick up Chick-fil-A, and then we'd come home and watch Gilmore Girls really late at night, and it's awesome.
that's one of my favorite. We have fun doing that.
And we would make pizza rolls, which is like my favorite snack. And
I tried to name Lillian Lorelai, but her dad wouldn't let me, because I have had an obsession with Gilmore Girls for a really long time. So I feel very proud that Lillian loves that, and I'm passing it on. I feel like there's another really important love that I have passed on to you about holidays or tradition. Would you like to?
oh no, is it the movies?
No, you don't. Sadly, I've not. I used to get them all to watch Hallmark Christmas movies with me, and Lillian
That's
has
not
left the fold on that one, which is okay. But she loves. You love Christmas though,
I do.
and you love Christmas decorating. And so I'm trying to. When Lily was little, every time I remember we would, you're trying out these new things. She's our first kid. We're trying to figure out what we're doing. We're trying to form like family traditions. And Lillian was the best. Like you love traditions and things like that, right? Mm-hmm. And so I remember you being little, we would try something and I would just do it one time. And you're like, oh, Mom, remember that time that we blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we just started a family tradition and now Lillian wants it. So I think we have some funny family traditions I didn't even intend on starting, because you were like, we did it this one time and now we have to do it every time. But
oh boy,
what's your favorite family tradition that we have? Can you think of one?
I think. Oh wait, I just thought of one, but it slipped my mind. I really like all of our Christmas traditions. Definitely, my favorite one is watching Elf.
Yes.
That is so
Love Elf.
iconic. I don't think we ended up watching it last year. Did
That's
we?
sad. I don't know.
That is kind of sad.
Usually we watch it while we put up our family Christmas tree.
Yeah. So I like that. I like going through all the ornaments, the family ornaments.
What's your favorite ornament you have? Who gave you?
Let's see. I definitely like going back to the bell thing. I have a lot of bell ornaments. I definitely like all of those.
We're definitely the family, right? What can you tell everybody listening if they don't know? What do we do every year what do you get every year for Christmas?
We for Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
We always get pajamas.
You can tell that too. Okay. So that's a family tradition.
Yeah, we always get pajamas, which that's fun. I have like so many Christmas like matching pajamas, so that's fun. And then what? Oh,
Well,
we get a special Christmas ornament every year that kind of, I don't know, either relates to something or
Yeah. And I would say and that's probably some of you listening, you probably do that. Some of you listening, that might be a new thing. I would say if there was any family tradition around Christmas, I would tell you to do, I would say do the ornament thing. We are actually a second generation family of doing this because my parents got me ornaments every year for Christmas, my siblings and I. And it was really cool that when your dad and I got married, they gave me my whole box of ornaments. And there's just something really special about having those. So we're excited. We plan to give each of the kids their box of ornaments when they finally leave our house and have their own place. We'll give you your ornaments. And I'll probably cry, but it'll be all right. That's why I also have pictures. We put a lot of pictures on our tree too, because I have all these little, and you guys cringe every time I pull out. I'm like, look at this cute Lily. Baby Lily. Oh yeah, that reminds me. When you were little, your dad. Okay, so we got to talk about your dad for a minute because kind of not fair that I'm interviewing you. Okay. So do you want to tell a favorite dad story? So tell a funny dad story because I know there's a lot of those. So let's be honest.
There's a lot. I'm trying to think.
Do you want to talk about the time he left you guys in the car and you thought you were going to get abducted?
This was probably a couple years ago, but we just came from the pool and we had to go to Deerberg's. I'm just exposing my dad, but I'm exposing mainly myself, but I didn't want to go into Deerberg's with like my swimsuit on. So dad left me and Evalyn in the car while he took Elena and possibly Lincoln. I don't remember. And then this Deerberg's worker came up to us, and we totally thought we were about to be abducted or something. And she was like, roll down the window. So
we've told you all, right? Yeah. Never rolled down.
But I rolled it down, and she was like, are you guys by yourself? And you need to come inside. And she was like, if not, I'm going to call the police. So obviously we were like scared, and we went inside and...
It was horrible. I mean, that lady, shame on that lady too, really. I know she thought she was saving you all because you were in the car and it was, I don't know.
We were so scared.
It was horrible. And I came home and Evalyn still is talks about that 8 years later, is freaked out. But anyway, poor dad. I'm sure you guys weren't throwing a fit or anything. Oh
no.
Does you have any favorite sayings that dad tells you? Or
he... I'm trying to. Well, we both like Star Wars. That's kind of one thing.
That's true. You guys do share the Star Wars.
We always watch Star Wars when it comes out, and The Mandalorian. And then, he likes to say, "This is the way," from The Mandalorian. And then recently, I don't even know if you remember this, Dad, but when I had my permit. Well, I still do, but when I started driving, whenever I would go onto the highway, what would you say? You'd say, push it, Margaret, or something. And I would say, sure, Jan. Punch it, Margaret. I don't even know why that came to mind, but
oh boy,
you would always say that. So
your dad is pretty much the classic dad jokes, which is really great because I just get to be the cool mom, right, Lillian? I'm always like, man, how great it is that you have such an awesome mom, such a cool mom, such a trendy mom.
Dad just
hey, and you're supposed to say, yes, I do. I'm so lucky and I'm so blessed that God gave me you as a mom.
Yeah,
right?
And he would always make it's the pain of having the last name Good.
That's true.
All the jokes.
All the good jokes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Lillian, we're really proud of you and your 16 years of life.
Thank you.
I'm sure everybody listening is going to love getting to hear your story and be excited.
Yep.
They're just going to get to grow with you. We'll have you back on before. Your voice has actually been on our podcast for a few episodes.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So many people talked about how calming and just energetic your voice is. And
that's good.
Oh, wait, we have one more thing we didn't talk about. You are super creative. So like Lillian really does have a lot of gift sets of, she loves to write books and stories, and you've always done it, and you read them to like your siblings, and you've written stuff and all the theater, and you're huge on that. But you also like to write music.
Yeah.
I should have made you bring your ukulele in here and play us a song.
That would have been funny.
Maybe we'll do a bonus episode, a bonus moment from Now
yeah.
That's Something Good, where Lillian can play us a couple of her songs. Do you want to talk about your ukulele and your songwriting?
Yeah, I feel like quarantine wouldn't be quarantine if you don't like learn something new. So I think it was like the first couple weeks.
We went right away and got
right to Mozingo or something, and we got a ukulele, and I learned things right away. And now it's kind of an obsession, and I play piano and ukulele. I think I did violin. That did not work out.
Yeah, that one wasn't.
But yeah, I really like writing music, and it's kind of like all over the board, and I like posting songs, and I'm hoping to write like an EP and like maybe post it to YouTube or something. So I think that'd be cool. But yeah.
It'd be great. She's a really great singer and a good songwriter. You did this song challenge, right? Early on in quarantine, like a 30-day.
Yeah. That was fun. I look back at it and I'm like, why did I do this, honestly?
So tell people if they don't know what was the challenge? Like, what did you have to do?
Every day was like a prompt, like write a song about your favorite season or something like that. So I did that for, it might have been 20 days, or maybe 12 days, something like that. But that was fun. I just kind of wrote like a little minute-long song for each of them. And again, looking back, I don't really like any of the ones I wrote. But
That's
I'm
all right.
like, why did I write that? But yeah.
Well, Lillian, the show is called Now That's Something Good.
Oh boy.
So what is something good that you would like to tell us or share, or something good that you like, or anything? Anything. Tell us something good.
Oh, wow. Oh, I went to get my nose pierced.
That is something good.
That's something good.
That can be something good. You do. You have been wanting. Yeah. So if anybody knows great ear and nose piercing places, we're out of practice.
Yeah,
So we need message us at
I want to get
podcast@sarahgood.com and let us know where we should go to get Lily to get her nose pierced.
Yeah, hopefully I can do that soon. So if you see me with the nose piercing, yeah. So
yeah, we'll see how that goes. No, we're excited. Awesome. Well, thanks, Lillian, for being on the show.
no problem, Mom.
Love you.
Love you too.
We're so grateful that Lillian would join us today on the show. I know Will and I might be completely biased, but we think Lillian is a pretty special world changer, and we can't wait to continue to watch her grow as parents. And we're grateful that you would listen in to her story today on Now That's Something Good. Hey, we hope that you'll take a moment to share this episode with someone who might need some encouragement and to hear something good. And your rates, your likes, your subscribes are huge for us to be able to continue to tell the story. It helps other people see the podcast and get to hear good news and good stories too. We hope that you have a great week, and we'll see you back here next week on Now That's Something Good.